Hello everyone, Nicole Stackline, Technical Agronomist for DeKalb and Asgrow in Northeast Iowa, and welcome to my data den. Harvest is a great season. It's also great when it's over, because while I don't like sitting in my office and staring at my computer, it is kind of fun. Because in December of every year, the corn breeders and the product managers come to us and they say, here's your new products. Go forth and figure out how they work in your area and which ones you guys are going to be selling the most of. So what we get to do is at the end of the year, when all of the plot data has been entered into the system, we sit down and start cutting data and looking at it. But it's not just about who won. Everybody is bombarded with my product won by this many bushels, this many times, and blah, blah, blah. I'm as skeptical of that as you, because I don't know about you guys, but not every acre that we farm is like plot quality soil. And so I'm not always just looking at my yield comparisons. One of the things that I like to look at is a stability graph. What a stability graph is telling me is how a certain product performs relative to its competitors in different yield environments. It's also going to give me a trend line, which tells me basically where is it going to fit. Because looking at yield data is not just about who wins most of the time in a plot. What it's telling us, it's helping us to characterize a product and determining where it fits on a farm. Here is an example of a stability graph. So when I look at this here, one of the things that I'm going to focus on is that gray dotted line that's going through horizontally. That is plot average yield. And it's also going across yield environments. The other thing that I look at, the most important thing that I look at, is this blue solid line. So I want to take you back to high school geometry for a second so we can understand what exactly these lines mean. So we know that we have plot average here, and we've got low yield environment on this side and high yield environment over there. So when I see a trend line that looks like this, right? So here's my average and yield environment. What this tells me is that this hybrid should be placed in a high yield environment, because when we get to low yield environments, it's getting beat by other stuff. So it performs best relative to competitors in a high yield environment. It's got that very top end. When I see a line that looks like this or has a slope going down like that, that tells me that this product is very well suited to tough, low yield environments, because here's that average. As the yield environment gets lower or tougher, it has an advantage over other products. As the yield environment and as everything else is yielding more, it kind of gets beat out on the top end yield. So that's how I'm going to treat a product that looks like this. I'm going to place it in my low yield environment, because that's where it's best suited. Another kind of line, and my favorite kind of line, is a flat line. So particularly if that flat line is above this one here, if I have a product that's got a stability line that looks like this, that's a great thing, because that means that it's a stable product. Because across yield environments, whether I've got a tough acre that's not going to crank out 250 bushels, or if I'm in an area where everything is doing 280, 290 bushels, I'm still yielding above average. So this means that it's stable, it's consistent, so I can put it in a lot of different places. The other thing that I'm looking at on these graphs, remember all those dots? I like it when all those dots are really tight, are really grouped tight to this line, because this means that it's very predictable how it's going to act in each of these environments, because this line is an average of that product's performance. So if I get a flat line, but I've got dots all over the place, it means that it's going to be less predictable, because in some places it was great, in some places it was like, not so wonderful. This hybrid DKC 5665 is a great example of the exact kind of line that I like for a type of hybrid that I can sell to a lot of different people, and it can go on a lot of different acres. You'll notice that that line is flat, my favorite kind of line, and it's above the average yield line. And all those dots are very close, they're grouped very closely to that line, meaning this is a very consistently high yielding product with a lot of predictability, so it's not gonna let me down very often. Okay, so we take a look at this guy right here, right? So this is a very steep sloped line. What this is telling me is that this is one of those kind of quote unquote racehorse type of hybrids, where the more you challenge it, the less often it's going to win, but it has very top end yield potential. So this is one of those hybrids that I'm not going to put across every acre, but I also know that it has very top end yield potential, especially when we put it in the right place. I hope you guys enjoyed this little insight, and hopefully it gained you a little bit of confidence in some of the things that I say about these products. As always, call, text, or email with questions.